Ladies and gentlemen, there's an $84 trillion wealth transfer that's happening in the US economy. And actually, craziest part is as I'm speaking to you right now, this wealth transfer has already begun. I want you to understand this. Right now, our government, our economy, and actually 70% of the disposable money that we have in the US economy is controlled by only one generation, the baby boomers. And for those of you that don't know who the baby boomers are, maybe open up a social media account on any of the platforms and I think you'll have a good idea of who they are. If you still don't know, as a generation that was born between 1946 to 1964, where the youngest of the people in this generation are turning 6 years old and the oldest are going to be about 80 years old. So this generation is either stepping down, they're retiree, or they are dying, which means that a lot of that wealth transfer, a lot of that money that they hold, 70% of the money in the US has to be trickled down to the next generation. So some of you are going to inherit a lot of money. Some of you are going to inherit not that much money. And then some of us, including myself, we're going to get $0 inherited. But it doesn't matter where you fall in that category. This video is going to benefit you very, very equally. Because in today's video, I'm going to educate you about this wealth transfer, first of all. And second of all, I want to educate you on where you need to be, what industries you need to be a part of, how you can prep yourself so that you can also take a bite of that almost $80 trillion pie. And also keep in mind that these boomers aren't just sitting on trillions of dollars of cash, right? We're talking investments, we're talking money in the stock market, we're talking assets that they own, homes, businesses. These are all assets that were given to them by their parents, the silent generation, who currently holds $18.1 trillion in assets. While their offspring, the baby boomers, hold about $78.3 trillion in assets. And then there's their children, Gen X, who holds about $47.8 trillion. And then there's the millennials, us, who we hold about $14.2 trillion. And all of this money has to be shifted down a generation, which means that now we're going to have Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Z. We're going to see all of that money in the economy, and most importantly, be more in control of that money that's going to be trickled down to them. Here's the other thing that I want you to know. Today, it's the top 10% of the wealthiest people in the US that control more than 50% of the money in the US. Let's take a look at this chart. This chart breaks down how much wealth is controlled over the decades and by who specifically. And as you can see, the top 10% controls over 50% of that wealth in the US. And the reason for why they have this control is a few things. Number one, it is their income. The median annual income for the top 10% is $500,000, while the median annual income for the bottom 50% is a shocking $30,000. And obviously, the more money you make, the more you can do with that money, like invest in real estate, invest in the stock markets, which brings us to reason number two as to why they have this control of more than 50% of that money in the US economy. What's even crazier is that it is going to be the top 1%. So individuals that have about $20 million in liquid cash that are going to reap the benefits of a majority of that $80 trillion wealth transfer, which that leaves you and I would have absolutely nothing that I'll inherit from my parents. And I'm assuming that some of you are going to be in that same position as well. Now, I have a lot of love for my parents. They sacrificed so much for me to be in this country. They migrated from Afghanistan to bring me and my brothers here so that we can grow and succeed and be who we are in our lives today. So I want nothing from them, and I'm okay that they've given me nothing. And actually, I see this as more of a challenge. And the reason why I'm making this video, it's not so much for people that are going to inherit anything, any of this $80 trillion. It's more so for people that are going to get nothing. And I'm making this video because I want you to be educated on what's happening. And I also want you to be educated on where you need to be, what markets, what industries, what transactions you have to be aware of that this money is going to go into, so that you can also reap the benefits of this wealth transfer as well. Because think of it this way, let's think a little bit logical about this. It's not like the top 1%, the people that have around $20 million in liquid cash, they're going to see most of this wealth transferred to them. It's not like they're going to lock this money away in a vault and we're never going to see it again. No, they're going to invest it in the stock market and real estate and tech, in areas that we can also, dive into, and in areas where we can also be and make sure that we conduct business in those sectors, in those industries, in that economy, so that we can be a part of this wealth transfer also. And the other good thing about this generation, this new generation, is that the baby boomers are not really into luxury. The money currently is in a place where we really don't have a lot of access to it. With this new generation, because they're into this luxurious lifestyle, having the nicest car, having the nicest home, having, a nice watch, we're gonna see this money be spent or be thrown into the economy so that they can buy these luxury goods. So what I'm trying to say is that you're going to have a lot more access to that $80 trillion that currently you don't have a lot of access to. All right, so what industries and what markets do we need to be at so that we can also benefit from this wealth transfer? The first is real estate. You have to understand that a lot of these baby boomers, they're going to pass on assets, and the majority of the assets that they own are homes and real estate. And Zillow estimates that in the next decade or so, there's going to be an extra 20 million properties that are going to hit the markets. 20 million properties that you can invest in. And if you know anything about me, I love real estate. It's one of the businesses that I'm in as well. And I do know that in the next decade or so, it's going to be a lot easier for you to find an investment property, a property that you can buy, either fix and flip or rent it out. So make sure that you guys have your eyes and ears open and try to find a good real estate deal, because a lot of it will be hitting the market soon. The other sector that I want you to keep an eye out on is wealth management. A fun fact, about 58% of boomers, they haven't really had their estates planned properly, which that in itself shows the demand that they have in the wealth management space. So you can do two things. Either work for a wealth management firm, or you can get your own CFP, your Certified Financial Planning license, and you can open up a consulting firm. Do it as a side gig. Hopefully that side gig is going to turn into a full-time business, because I do know there's going to be a lot of need, a lot of demand in that space. So keep your eyes open for that as well. All right, the third sector I want you to be more aware of and keep an eye out on is going to be the stock market. Obviously, with a large amount of money like that being transferred from one generation to another, there's going to be a lot of fluctuations in the stock market, a lot of opportunities for you to buy good stock. And I want you to specifically keep an eye out and educate yourself on technology stocks, on renewable energy, and on healthcare. And the last sector you want to be in is obviously technology, whether that's, you want to be in the AI space and learn how to code and how to be a part of this AI boom that's happening right now. Whether that's you being a social media content manager, content creator, because you have to realize that this next generation is not going to be like the boomers. The boomers, they would open up a phone and be like, how do you use the settings on an iPhone? That generation is going to be gone. This next generation is going to be the tech generation, where they'll have a lot more online businesses that you can either manage their social media pages for them, or you can market their brand for them. Things that you can do that delves in the technology space. So either you learning how to code, you learning more about artificial intelligence, or you learning how to manage someone's social media page or market their brand. These are all spaces that you can be in, that you can leverage and take a part of that. $80 trillion is going to be transferred over to the next generations. All right, with that being said, hopefully this video helps you all. As always, I'm rooting for you all. And again, just because you're not going to get any inheritance, just like me, don't be upset about this. Take this as a challenge and always think positively and optimistically, because the whole point of this is that you want to grind, that you want to make it out yourself. And it's okay if you didn't get an inheritance. I wish you all luck, success, and as always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video. Peace.